The views and opinions expressed in Media Litter Sandwich do not reflect on the views of the network, station, studio, website, sponsors, guests, hosts themselves, anyone or anything else associated or even not associated with this podcast. Maybe not even the person that said them. In other words, do your own research and do not sue anyone over what is said on this show.
Welcome to Media Litter Sandwich. So we talk about creators, we talk to artists, we've talked to musicians, we've talked to, social media creators as well, social media managers, we've talked to writers, we've talked to people trying to start different movements, and we've also talked to event organizers. Why event organizers? Because there's a lot you can muck up doing an event. And plus, I love conventions. I go to a lot of conventions. I go to a lot of trade shows. Not so much this year, but that doesn't mean, just because I didn't go to an event or a trade show 1 year doesn't mean I don't love it. Or 2 years or 3 years, Just not long ago, I've missed, this was all, I think it was all in one weekend, actually. I missed TechCon. Yep, TechCon, Monroe Pop Fest, and Flint Fall Fest. All events I've been to in the past, all events that have videos on the YouTube and the normal website, Toaden.com and youtube.com/ToadenK. If you want to see the cosplay videos from those. They're all fun, all great events. I've been to many of them, but it's time I get some ranting out. And if you want to be the first person to hear my rants every week or my interviews, it's on dvradio.net. We are syndicated on DV Radio, so every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's 1900, because it is veteran-owned and operated, so we'll say 1900 as well. It is right on there on dvradio.net, and I'm in the chat room for when that premieres. It streams on there. It's fun because I'm in the chat room, so it's also an Ask Me Anything, and I love to start seeing more and more people in there. Although I don't mind sitting in the chat room while playing a game or something, but the more people in there, the crazier and awesome the conversations go. The conversation doesn't have to be on what's currently playing, could be about anything. And it helps, and it's cool, and every once in a while, other people that are affiliated with the radio station show up, and it's a good time. It is. And I'm, of course, filming at the Foundation Hotel, in the Foundation Studio at the Foundation Hotel in downtown Detroit. Well, there's no traffic. I don't think you're going to hear any external traffic today because the entire road shut down. So, I mean, no one's even parking cars in front. So it's really, really quiet here today. I kind of like it. I was actually just jamming out to Jimi Hendrix and, playing some music while setting up. It was great. And I'm looking at the TCF Center as well. So, I mean, I'm downtown Detroit for sure. Not from the busiest street, but when there's a convention going on, I get to see a lot of cool stuff, which there's another convention going on there in a couple weeks. So you kind of get the theme of today's show. But I do want to, I got to talk about issues, and this is probably the most locally requested, people actually talking to me requested topic. I mentioned I might talk about it once or twice, especially since this year I decided not to go. There's several conventions within the past year or two that I said I'm never going to that convention probably ever again, at least not anytime in the near future. And people are like, why? And I don't really want to give out which conventions and stuff like that, but let's go into reasons why, because those are good, learn from mistakes. So we're going to talk about the things that bug me about conventions, things that can really build up over time. And let's start off. Now, Misty Mills is a good friend of mine. She does the warning, the message in front of these episodes, viewer discretion of that person. She actually commented and gave me a huge list. So I'm going to start reading what she wrote, and then I will go into a little bit on my list, including PC stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of SWJ stuff that's been going on that I can't say SWJ culture is is a bad thing. I'll get into it. There's byproducts that are unforeseen and that have issues, and it's the way those byproducts are kind of dealt with that become an issue. And I'll get into that. I will get into that. Let's go ahead and start with, now Missy Mills wrote this comment on one of my Facebook posts. It's a little lengthy. I'm going to read the whole thing, along with some explanations and my thoughts on it as well. Okay, so suggestions for the topic if you need them. Thank you, Misty. She says, expensive entry levels on top of expensive parking, expensive food, drink, expensive photo ops. Okay, so let's hit a couple of these. Entry level fees or entry free fees. Yeah. If you run a really tiny trade show that's nonprofit where you don't have to pay for the location, or your location is paid for by the vendors, meaning their table fee pretty much covers all of that stuff. And you're like, well, this fee over here just goes straight to a nonprofit. But you're expecting less than 500 people there that weekend, maybe 200 people that weekend, something like that. Maybe you should... maybe you should lower that rate. Maybe it should be a $5 fee and not. I have seen cons that were very, very small try to charge $20, $25. A going rate for a big convention is usually between $60 and $150, depending on VIP packages and blah 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 blah. You don't put that in stone. This is how much Toad said I should pay. There's so many different kinds of conventions and events. It's a huge scale. There's a difference going to your local comic convention that's in the basement of a church and going to one in a gigantic convention center. Hi, TCF. And going to one that is totally worth it for you to go out of town, like the Game of Thrones convention in Nashville. That it may be worth paying more, especially because if you're a huge fan of the show and you're going to see pretty much everyone you want to see, and actually it's a scale. Playlist Live and VidCon, more expensive than going to a trade show in some, in a place that's not normally in a banquet hall. We'll say a banquet hall, because I've been to trade shows and stuff in banquet halls. We'll say that in different varying prices. I will say it is it is messed up when you go to a venue and you have to pay for parking at the venue on top of an expensive ticket. I don't know about you, but I hate paying $200 ticket and then parking $60. That I don't like either. Unfortunately, a lot of times that's out of the convention person's hands. Sometimes it isn't. I have been to a comic convention, and this is angry. There's a couple conventions I'm probably going to repeat several times. I'm going to try not to name them. There is one that will do what it can to actually control the parking lot of the venue so they could charge more for that and charge more for parking for all around it. That is messed up. When they want to get as much money out of you as possible, that is messed up. And there are shows that do that. They will, you go to a venue that normally doesn't charge for parking. That day they're charging for parking. Now it's different if they're charging, it's a $10 ticket. They don't mention the $20 parking fee. Something like, but then you go in there, it's a $90 ticket. and it's a $20 parking fee. Yeah, these things build, and it's if you know what's going on, it's either okay, they had to charge for this or that, or yeah, they just want to make more money. You don't know. The expensive food or drink, again, a lot of times it's not up to the convention person. That's sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It depends what we're talking about. A lot of venues don't allow you to sell food or drink. That's a fact. So that venue controls it. So what can you do if you're bringing a lot? I see this a lot of time with shows too. They bring in food trucks. They don't control the price of the food truck, and that food truck has to pay bills too. They're paying for something too. They gotta make sure their trip is worth it, and also pay their people and all that good stuff. So yeah, I mean. Some of these, I know Misty's spitballing on some of this stuff, but sometimes the venue can, or not the venue, but the organizer can curve them. Sometimes they can't, food and drink sometimes an issue, but sometimes you can't do anything about that. Expensive photo ops. Sometimes you can do something about that. Sometimes you can. A celebrity, if you're bringing one in, you have a bare minimum. I don't care. I'll put that. Okay, so that's the one thing I'm going to say on this list. I don't care about the celebrities. I don't go for the celebrities. I don't care. So I don't know about that world because I don't care. Expensive autographs, I don't care. That's up to the person, or that's up to their management and with the show. I don't care. And now some places have to charge for panels. Well, some places also make the trade show ticket cheaper by charging for the panels because they're actually paying for the people to speak at the panels. Now, professional, and Misty and I actually talked about this because me and her also go to more professional conventions and things where the panels you actually could get a certificate, education certificate, you get information out of. These are people that are flying in to talk on these panels. That's why those cost more, or different tracks. You get into more of a professional thing. And so, yeah, if a celebrity is, or whoever the speaker is, if they have a speaking charge and that's how they're going to cover that, then yeah, sometimes they'll charge if you want to go to the panels. Missy has said some of these panels have different. Okay, each panel is going to cost this much money. That's a little weird. I don't like that, but I do understand if there is a full like you could spend the entire time just at panels and they're all really good and like each panel is an event that you would go to by itself. Then yes, it would be worth it to pay for that panel track. And I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, if each panel is something that would be an event by itself, I don't have a problem with them charging extra if you want to go to panels. Now, if the panels are just volunteer ran by people that don't really know what they're talking about and aren't, therefore they can't make a living talking about that subject or not that's different, and they charge for it. Yeah, I that's messed up, but that's why I think I kind of exhausted that a little bit. Let's see here. It's become an effective cost-wise to even think of attending the main convention without doing any of the extras. So our biggest issue was them pinning on charge for panels, charge for parking, charge for you don't always have a choice in it, and it depends that really does depend on the event. Some of the smaller conventions, like this is one of my things. Remember, there's a difference between a convention and a trade show. A lot of trade shows call themselves convention. Now, the term comic convention is going away because the San Diego Comic Convention started suing people and being they decided they own the generic term. So, yes, Comic-Con is a generic term. I've gone to well over 100 events, different organizers that have something called the Comic-Con. The full term is Comic Convention, which you cannot own because that's what it's called. So that makes no sense. In California, go figure. California does stuff like that. Wow, I'm really getting kind of angry today. This is actually an emotional topic for me. It is. Wow. All right. And some of this goes into Missy's next thing, con flood. What did I say? I've gone to how many events? I used to go, man. Yeah, so much. There are cons almost every weekend. Unless you have something unique to contribute, stay out of the water and think about working with something established already. It was great for a while we had the big con locally, big cons in nearby areas. I remember we're in Detroit area, so we're not just talking about all the cons in the Detroit area, but we're also talking about Chicago and Toledo, Indianapolis, and some really local ones in a while. But now it's just oversaturated. I wasn't even interested in going to Monroe this year, and I usually love that one, but I'm getting con burned out. Yeah, that's a big one because a lot of cons are also merging in what they do. Like they're no longer a comic convention, they're a pop fest. So you have gaming conventions, you have comic, you have just a pop general thing. And there's so many of them. What'd I say? This past weekend, there was 3 that I know of that I would like to go to. There were 3 of them. So yeah, convention flood's a big thing. And and with more conventions like kind of going downhill or people just getting fed up with a particular thing about one, like, you know what, I go to a lot of them. Let me start organizing my own events. That's not going to help. It really isn't. I think the biggest thing that's going to help is just start being more picky or helping. Well, Misty said, start, working with the conventions. And I did that. I decided if I'm going to complain about a convention, I'm going to work that convention. And I did that with a couple different things. I went in and worked with them. And that's why I feel I have a little bit more insight. I know Misty does too. She's worked on boards and of conventions, and she put together events. This is not coming just from a regular attendee for sure. So yeah, but yeah, oversaturation. They're freaking everywhere. Bradley and I mentioned it a few weeks ago on the show. People go, "Oh, Comic-Con. Yeah, I want to go to Comic-Con. Like, which one?" Like, there's more than one in the area. Yeah. There's more Comic-Cons in the area than there are weekends. That means you have to make choices, and there's no way you can afford them all as an attendee, or you can afford even the gas, go back and forth. You can't do that. All right. Our next thing, unprepared panelists. Okay, so I want more or less focus on the organization, but this does fall underneath it. But she goes into unprepared panelists. Big pet peeve of mine. I've had to jump in at last minute to run panels. So have I. And I know it can be really frustrating when someone doesn't have a backup plan, but at least try to put a plan in place. You usually have to submit at least a few weeks in advance, so start planning early. Yes, I've done now. If I'm on a panel of 5-6 people, I go, who's the moderator? Oh, there's no moderator. And usually you just want to be like, okay, what are we going to talk about? Here's the 3 things that I talk about. Or at least whoever came up with the panel will have a decent description that you can kind of go off of. Moderators are amazing. But whoever created it or is putting that panel together needs to do something more. I've gone on panels where they just say, "Oh, we'll tell you when you come in. Here's the description. Don't worry, there's a moderator." I go up like, "Hey, so who's the moderator?" I think I am. Yeah, I am. And then they never ask me a single question. I hate that. Or the moderator completely ignores the audience. They're just talking to their friends, or the people on the panel only are talking to their friends in the audience and are ignoring the entire topic. I brought this up before. It's the best. It's the best example of panels because it's something that I was at multiple panels where if it had a certain cast, couple people that did a very successful YouTube series, they had some really big sponsors, so they actually had gummies inside their series because Gummy Bear was sponsoring it. And moderators will bring it up and ask about it. No one else in the panel really know what he's talking about. But so they'll break down and start talking about candy. So that one year, I think it was Playlist Live, he had a bunch of attendees going on. I was like, dude, I went in to learn about this, and all they talked about were gummy bears. I want, for an hour we talked about gummy bears and snacks and what. I went in there to learn about getting sponsorships. How to talk to a sponsorship, and all they talked about were freaking gummy bears. That happens, and it's really messed up. Have a plan, some sort of a plan. I love moderating panels, by the way. One panel I went in to moderate, it was someone else. They didn't hire me because I wasn't getting paid, but I volunteered. And the not even the night before, the day of, they sent me an email. Here's all your questions. This is how your exact run through is going to go the morning of. And they told me they're going to do something like that. And I said, here's your deadline. And I said that because this was years before the technology has come a long way. This is before I could just pull up my cell phone and read from my cell phone, which I could have, but I don't like doing during a panel. And I really didn't want to do it at that point because I was doing a lot of different panels at the time, a lot of different speaking engagements. I had a rhythm that I liked to do, and for that I needed typed out, neatly typed and printed paper with my notes on them. So I needed time to go through it all and print it, make notes, and then rewrite and print again. That just was my method. And they sent me them, and the questions were bad. Everything was bad. I didn't say, this sucks. I said, hey, I got a method, and you didn't reach my deadline. I have to go with my plan. And honestly, I think, but we worked so hard. I don't want to tell them that I had students that made better questions than them, but, it was bad. And I did what I did, and they later decided to start. They actually really liked the way I did it, and wrote down some of the things and started moderating panels the following year in the way I did it. I organized a panel, and I had someone volunteer to moderate. And I told them everyone was going to be, what the focus was. And this person who told me they had plenty of experience was horrible. They didn't know their topic. I don't want to go too much into it, but I wanted them to question the panel from a certain point of view. And as a social media, okay, this is not giving anything away because I know a lot of people claim to be social media managers and social media. No, we're not talking about Misty. We're talking about other people. I know a lot of other people that do it. So Misty is a social media guru, whatever. But one person claimed they knew all this stuff. They did it professionally. And they went to talk to the panelists, and they knew none of it. And they only talked to their friends that they knew on the panel. Well, what about this person? What about that person? And their friends on the panel ran it. Like, she couldn't stop them. If you're a moderator, you need to be able to do that. You need to be able to have some sort of control. It's okay to let panelists sidebar a little bit. As long as you feel like it's contributing, you need to be able to have some sort of control. That I don't feel like that was on my part of the organizer, which I was unpaid too. I was volunteer. In fact, volunteer. That's a whole other. We'll get into that in a second. Oof. Moving on. Programming people have no idea what they're doing irritate me. There's a lot that goes into that job that you can't expect to learn on the job and be successful at. Have worked on staffing at least a few cons before taking on programming or concha. Yeah, know your job. or at least ask questions. One of my first times helping in a programming fashion. Oh man, I wanted to walk out. I probably should have walked out. I was at a meeting and it's not that they refused to answer any of my questions. They were just exhausted every time I asked a question. You know what I mean? Like, hey, do I I'm not allowed to contact any future guests. I have to go through someone. What's the proper way to do that? Do I need to let you know? No, or do I go straight to the in between manager, or go to do I go to our contact and they go to the manager, or do I let you know first? That way you can just give them a list. How are you organized? How would you like to do it? Ooh. Okay. Well, as explained in last year, I wasn't here last year. Well, last year we had explained every meeting. This is the first meeting. Every meeting I had to explain this, and this is what it is. Like, I don't care. This is the first meeting, my first time here. If you want to tell me somewhere else, we can do that. Like, every single question was something like that, and it was bad because I had to interrupt private conversations. You know what they were talking about? They're talking about parties, adult parties that had no business being talked about in any kind of professional manner. I don't care who wasn't wearing anything or whatever during your parties and your personal time in your personal house and your lifestyle. I don't care. We're there to talk about we're there talking about comic books, conventions, and social media and film stuff. I was there representing film stuff. Come on. Yes, I'm getting kind of angry remembering this. It was terrible. Forget about backup plans. That person was, they weren't even, they knew what they were doing. They just didn't care. And that person later on took credit for everything everyone else did. It was absolutely terrible. I would never... I would never want to run an organization where that was the normal. I'm not insulting these people saying they can't do a great job. I'm saying I wouldn't want to where that is the normal. Is terrible. Sorry, I'm ranting. I'm not very... Whew, I'm a little verklempt. Marketing. Oh my God, cons put their marketing budget last, and it shows. Stop using word of mouth on social media as the only thing you do. Surprisingly, print still works. Print, flyers, postcards, items left at the freebie tables at other conventions. Get tables at other conventions and reach out to local shops and stuff that have the clientele that you want to attract. I think that speaks for itself. Yeah, a lot of shows, some shows I went to, like, well, we put on social media all the time. Well, did you go to any other shows? I mean, there's organizers that never go to any other shows. And it shows. Not just in the people that attend, but the way they organize. It shows. Missy goes on, run it like an MFing business. And wow, I think she was getting emotional too. So yeah, a business, not a hobby. If you aren't going to be a con that lasts, why should someone invest their time and energy and money into a con that probably won't be around 3 years from now? This is for attendees, panelists, vendors, etc. So she made sure she mentioned that she's talking about an actual convention, not a trade show, a big, large event. Run it like a business. Like, oh yeah, this is all just fun and games. Well, for your fun and games, your hobby, people are driving 2 or 3 states over. Like, sometimes this happens with vendors. They get, like, oh, that looks like a good show. And you're like, yeah, it's going to be a great show. You're hyping it up, and you got vendors and guests driving hours away for this. Don't disappoint them. They're putting, they're not just putting in your ticket. They're putting in travel, hotel. People are investing in this, even if it's just their time. Time is money. They could be, some people are choosing to go to your convention over hanging out with their family, or doing or taking extra shifts at their job, or some people taking days off at work. I mean, this is treat it like a business. Show some respect, you know. And if we have time, there's another list I found. I'll read through. I'm going to start going through this a little bit faster. Be good to your vendors, especially when so many are losing money at being at cons. Yeah, because a vendor doesn't know if they're going to even make enough money to cover their table. Don't overcharge for tables. Plan out an effective layout. Provide them with marketing tools. For one con, we made social media assets for the panelists and vendors. Many used them, and they were properly branded instead of expecting vendors and panelists to make their own. Okay, I don't know too much about that making their own brand or anything. But yeah, absolutely. Be good to your vendors. Your vendors make the event. Your panelists make the event. Be good to them. Don't treat them like trash. I hear that happening, and it's really messed up. And so, you know, if a vendor's treated well enough, there's a lot of vendors that will go to conventions where they know they will lose money at, but they'll make someone's day while they're there because they could have what they're looking for, and they'll have fun hanging out with the other vendors and stuff. But if they're miserable and they don't make tables, you're never going to see them again. Or if they're miserable and they don't care, you know, they know they're going to make money wherever they go, yeah, they're going to choose somewhere else. And that, which is, you can say, oh, well, I'll find someone else, but that's not a great attitude. You know, be good to the people, you know, and word travels, man. It does. Now this is, and then the rest of this is as an attendee. I'll make this quick. I'm not going to read everything. People should, you know, wash, be clean. We already know a lot of conventions, you know, that there's that whole, hey, bathe, take a shower. Vendors with attitudes. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Sometimes vendors do, sometimes they don't. Programming. Oh, this is big. A lot of places move to online programming. Invest in an app then. Make it good. You know, let people know what's going on at the convention. That's a big thing. I've been to one of the conventions I've been to this year. I didn't know what's going on. I didn't know there was even panels. There was no. I was told there was a program online. I couldn't find it. There was one sign saying where the panels were, and you had to go to each room to read what was going on. You're not giving any of your panelists. In this case, they actually had a lot of event people that's promoting their things, and they're spending money. When you're bringing like more than 20, 30 people out to an event, and they're not getting paid, that group is showing a lot of devotion, and it's costing them one way or another. It's costing them to be there. At least show them enough respect to give attendees a heads up that they're there. You know, man, prep volunteers. Be good to your volunteers. Volunteers are the life force of a convention. It's true. It's true. What I was saying before when I was on staff at a couple ones, there's one convention which I don't think I don't think I could ever work for again, even though I like some of the people there. As a staff member, I was treated worse than volunteer members. Volunteer people were able to get their ticket money back. They were given some extra goods. They were treated really, really well. Staff didn't get any of that. They had discount tickets, which, truth be told, if I was doing panels and staff, if I was only doing panels, I would have paid the same amount. I was actually a media press pass several times, so I would have got for free. But because I was staff, I was not allowed, and I was still doing press. I still had to pay because that was the way they did things. So even though I was press, I had to pay because I was also staff. Kind of makes sense. That does make sense, I guess, on some level. But if I wasn't staff, I would have gone for free. And I also didn't get any of the bonuses the volunteers got. So there was in that convention, there's a lot of people that became staff, and they said, this sucks. I'm never doing this again. I had to pay for my hotel room, or I had to pay for this or that. Meanwhile, as a volunteer, they got reimbursed things. Or there was actually a spot for them to sleep and no one to bother them as a volunteer. That's We could talk a little bit about that later. That was one particular convention, which, whatever, but still, treat your volunteer. They're running your convention. Treat them good. And then she pretty much stopped. Okay, cool. So there was, like I said, I thought that was good. That actually took a lot off of my list. That's why I wanted to go through what Misty had to say. So let's talk about some of this PC stuff, this SHW culture, that that has some really things that. So what makes this? Well, the organizers make it an issue. Okay, so organizers want to go around and do some extra things. So they're right, you're wrong. That's the wrong thing. Treat everyone with respect, right? Mentioned that already. So I've been to many conventions now that will, on the bathrooms, will have, and this is really hard for them to do. There's a lot of legal stuff that involve this from what I'm told. I myself didn't have to go through the process, but when it comes to making bathrooms open to everyone, there's one of the cons, so actually a couple cons I've been to, where they'll actually put signs, whatever, wash your hands signs, on top of the actual men's and women's bathroom signs, so you don't know which one is which. This can lead to awkward situations. There's a lot of attendees that don't care, as long as everyone's being respectful and nothing messed up's going on. A lot of attendees don't really care, but they want, like men want to use the men's room for the proper facilities. And there was guys complaining like, "Hey, can you at least let me know which one that I'm supposed to use? You can use either one you want." That's not what I meant. Which one has what I need? I need to pee. Like, I know there's a whole other debates on this, but let's keep it basic. The things that affect the con the most. So that affects people's attitude. And when you tell them, and when they make up excuses of why they have to play guessing games or which one, for the guys has the urinals for them to play, you're giving them excuses instead of just saying, you know what, that's a good point. We'll put something up there, which they, in the 3 years that I was there, they never actually did. They kept saying they were going to. They never did. That's a minor complaint. The larger complaint is when you have a bar right around the corners everywhere, and at night people are drinking, and you have guys following girls into the girls' room after the girl turns them down. Now, truth be told, when or it could be either. It doesn't matter what their gender is. Really, it doesn't matter. Someone's bugging them. They go to the bathroom. A few minutes later or whatever, they come out of the stall, and there that person is. Now, it could have been by accident. That guy might not know what bathroom to go in. That's been the excuse. There's been people that called them out on it, and they said, well, I just chose one because I didn't know which one. You see how these play on each other? It's an issue. And that's why some of these conventions, when I told my girlfriend, hey, would you have problems? Like, I really like the panels, but I'm not going to miss people following me into the bathroom. Not going to miss it. These complaints, people have actually been kicked out of social media groups for these complaints. I'm not kidding. I'm not even saying that they were like being a-holes about it. They're like, hey, this is what's happened. They're just like, hey, this is what happened. And then other people get upset that there was something that happened, but how dare you want to change this? This is for a really good reason. Well, I'm just saying you need to look at it, because this stuff can't be happening no more. We can't have people following people into the bathrooms when they're uncomfortable. You can't have that. It's and you even have one of the conventions, actually two of the conventions. There's organizers on social media insulting people for it. That's be professional. Again, run it as a business. Social media is part of that business. In that group, on that page, whatever, you do not want to look like someone that doesn't know how to be professional. As a panelist, as someone that goes to these things as a press person and all this other stuff, I make a lot of jokes. I do. On social media, I put up memes. I do all that stuff. When I'm on an event page, when I'm in an event group, I do not. I want to help people. I want to answer questions. I want people to come meet me. I want people to be interested in what I do. I do not want to be an a-hole. Yes, that's a bad word. I don't want to be a jerk. And I'm not going to insult someone for the sake of insulting them. And I feel like when you're on one of those pages and people are doing that or being condescending for the sake of being condescending or because they're an admin or whatever, that is not how you want to represent yourself. And you're not going to make anyone's day doing that. It's horrible. Well, it may make someone smile and make their day, but don't do that. Be professional. If don't say, well, we're not professionals. This is a nonprofit. This is volunteer. You're running this convention. It's a profession. You want this con around next year? Run it like a business. Don't be a jerk. So there's this con, and this is actually my second time telling the story because the first time I got kind of upset and I started forgetting things. So for 2 years, they emailed me and they said, hey, we know you. We want you to do some video workshop. We want to talk about your YouTube stuff. There's some really cool stuff. You're in. Just go ahead and send us what you would like to talk about or how it would be, and we can work on it. So I do that. And they say, cool. I'm sorry, but I'm told you have to fill out this application. 40-page application. Boom. Took me a long time to fill out the first year, and I told them second year, I don't want to fill out that 40-page application. They go, okay, we've made it easier for you. Still, it was the same thing. So 40-page application. You should never. It's a volunteer freaking convention, and they give you a 40-page application. Too much for a panelist that you asked to be on to give a 40-page application. Anyways, both those years. Nope. Got told no after they asked me to be on it. I said, well, what's wrong? Did I fill something out wrong? If you don't like the way we're doing these, we can change them. After all, I'm doing this for you. Let's talk about this. And I'm actually very flexible. And they're like, no, I don't know why you're told no, but you're told no now. So 2 times. Third year, they asked me, I'm not doing that. If I'm going to get told no, I'm not doing that. If you really want me there, go talk to the powers that be. That way, if they're going to tell you no, they could tell you no now. And I don't have to fill out this 40-page stupid application again. They're like, okay, well, let me go figure out what happened. They come back. They say, yes, you are fine, but you still have to fill out. They changed up 60 page this year. I better have panels. So I talked to them. We worked it out. Not only would I do the YouTube stuff, but I'll also do a zombie panel with other people and an Orphan Black panel with other people. I love that show, Orphan Black. When the first shows done by BBC America, not just BBC, but BBC America, when their first originally produced shows, although it was made in Canada. But anyways, love that show. Really excited to talk about it. Word got back. The YouTube stuff, gone again. But I was going to get a free ticket still to do my press stuff, to do my video stuff. Okay, so that's fine. again, because I finally get to talk about a couple subjects I love. Zombie events, I do a million zombie events, and I love Orphan Black. They come back to me about Orphan Black. They go, so we got a few people already on the panel. We are an inclusive convention. I believe that's the term they use, inclusive, meaning everyone is welcome, and we do everything to present everyone. At least that's what it's supposed to mean. What it really means is they discriminate. Because this was them telling me I was told you can't be on it. They basically assumed my gender, assumed my race, assumed my sexual orientation, and use these things to judge that I do not belong on that panel. They told me it's going to be an all-female panel, although they were trying to get a man on the panel, but they're telling me no. But because it has mostly a female audience, they want if they could get someone else. They asked me if I could ask friends of mine that were people of color if they could talk about the show, and telling me I can't be on it because of what they assume my race and my gender and my sexual orientation is. How effed up and messed up? How messed up is that? That really got me. And I did go to the panel. It was okay. It'd been better if they knew what they're talking. If they had someone else on the panel with a slightly different point of view, maybe someone that read all the comic books and behind the scenes stuff, like me, because I really loved that show. I was really looking forward to talk about it. I love that show. These people that I watched talk shows devoted about that show. I was the only one in that room that watched these things, and a couple times like, yeah, I wonder about, yeah, they mentioned several times I raised my hand and gave them information that I knew. I should have been on that panel, and someone told me I should have been on that panel. They're like, wow, you're really devoted. Like, yeah, I was supposed to be on this panel, but apparently men aren't allowed. Well, men were allowed, just not white men. They weren't allowed because it's, because the convention is discriminatory towards straight white men. At least that's what they think I am, because they assume, they never ask. They assume race, gender, all that stuff. Horrible thing to do to anyone. No organization should ever do that. They should not play, so when I said byproducts, because I should never even went. I did the zombie one, and the moderator for that was terrible. Absolutely horrible. Ignored almost everyone in the room except for her friends on the panel. Didn't ask me any questions. Don't know why. Whatever. I never go into that convention ever again. Because right when I won't go to a convention that straight up discriminates people. So it wasn't just that experience. I've seen it time and time again nowadays, and it's... Now, I helped organize conventions. I don't care what somebody looks like. I don't care what anything in their personal life is. Don't care. Why am I being told that matters? It doesn't. And I know my own personal experiences pale in comparison to many, many other people. I know that. I really do. And I'm not making this about SJW stuff. And I'm also not trying to cry and whine. These are things that are problems. And if there's any kind of discrimination, it's a problem. And that does go into organizers need to think about their attendees too. They need to think about they can't discriminate at all. I went to one convention, and this infuriated me too. I was on a panel, and I'm trying to bring stuff to the stage, and what the person did was like an auditorium set up. And I talked about this on the podcast before. Hell, I had the organizer. I talked about it with the organizer on the podcast. They basically put vendors in front of the two doors going to the auditorium with wheelchair ramps. They blocked people they wouldn't let people with wheelchairs use the wheelchair ramps to get to handicap accessible seating. So what happened? They had to sit in the aisles and block people from coming in because they had nowhere else to go. They only left one door open and wouldn't allow people in wheelchairs to access handicap accessible seating. How stupid is that? So this is why you treat your volunteers well. You listen to them. You treat it like a business. Butts and seats are dollars. Get those dollars, It's a business. You want people happy. You want things good. Hopefully this wasn't informative. Again, there's a lot of conventions I love. Even conventions I love mess up, which is fine. Learn from it. I'm not sure what the takeaways from this are anymore, except for, man, there's a lot of conventions. There's a lot of conventions, and you can be picky, and it's fine. Don't be a snob. Just have fun. Just have fun. That's it. There's so many out there, And if you do go to a lot of conventions and you stock up on something, you smiled on Amazon. If you use Amazon, you smiled on Amazon because a small portion at no cost to you can go to charity. And here, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're syndicating DV Radio. Our charity of choice is DV Farm. Go ahead and learn about it. It's great. I mentioned doing your research. If you want to donate to DV Farm, do your research. Figure out if it's the right charity for you. And you can always donate to multiple charities. It's fine. I change mine up once in a while too. But my default is DV Farm on Amazon. Smiled.amazon.com. Media Litter Sandwich. We are on many podcast apps, including iHeartRadio, Spotify, I don't know what else, Podbean, Pod this, Pod that, Toaden. We're on a ton of. If you share this to your friends, please share it. And then let them know, like, hey, look, if this isn't the app that you like to use, search for a Media Layer Sandwich on the app you like to use. We're also on YouTube. And there's a lot of different video sites out there now that use video from YouTube and show it. So maybe we're on another video site too that someone else might watch. I don't know. But, we're on YouTube. youtube.com/ToadenK. We have a website, MediaLiteraSandwich.com. I have a website, my personal website, Toaden.com. We have Facebook pages, both of them, Media Litter Sandwich and Toaden, and a group. Talk to us in the group if you can. Please, let us know your thoughts. Was this too much? I don't know. Would you like more, like me to go a little more into another subject? I felt like I needed this rant. And I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. And may the algorithms be in your favor.